I'll move that, yeah.
Do we have any policy that includes any of the issues addressed in this policy?
Not specifically in this language, no.
Not gender identity. We have in the 25 classroom environment, we have, and that's the one, those will be, written to match House Bill 41 when it gets signed. And that will also cover these ones in here too, when that one gets signed.
So, and I think this policy is probably from another district. And it's probably in response to last year's House Bill 421, which, I mean, so I think, so 421, I have it here, that passed in the last session. So I guess my question is, so every time the legislature passes a bill, which, like 421, which I guess wasn't in our packet, but I just found it. So it's law.
Right.
So then, I mean, do we need to write the same policy? Do we have, it just seems confusing because it's something that has become law. And then it's law, it's already law, it doesn't really matter, policy or not, it's the law.
It is, and it goes off the law in 21.
So 421 is actually currently the law.
Oh, yeah,
That's from last, so this is just like,
last year.
it's,
It started in
So,
22.
so Juniper.
By lawyers.
In policy 1300 that we just did the first reading, in the second paragraph, I indicated, any policy conflicts with the state federal laws, the state or federal education department regulations, such laws and regulations will be followed. And so it is the intent of the district and has always been the intent of the school board to follow the laws.
right, I mean, we're planning to follow the law, we follow the law.
So,
So I mean, at some point, we just write a policy that says, we just follow the laws that the legislature passes and then we follow them, or like, do we just write this law into policy? I don't know, it just seems like we're just making a lot more words to address the same thing. But essentially, I think this policy is based off of this bill, 421, which is the law. So, I mean, or do we just say we follow policy, House Bill 421, I don't know. It just seems like, at some point, then we write a bill, and then the legislature passes another policy, and then we write another, it just gets to be a lot.
Those draft policies were written by lawyers.
Back in 2022.
Right, but and House Bill 421, which is slightly different, passed last year, and it has different language, I don't know. It defines a lot of like genders, and it's very long, I would read it to you, but nobody wants to hear
I've read it.
A lot.
Yeah, so, I mean, at some point, perhaps we do need to pass a policy with each of these bills, but I don't know, I mean, we just need to decide how best.
Well, if that House Bill 421 is really long and nobody wants to read it, and his is only like 2 pages long, it's super simplified and very easy to understand, and that makes it easier because right now there's LGBT flags up in the school, which would be like violating the House Bill 421, so you guys are already in violation of the law.
421 doesn't deal with
Yeah.
the actual like classroom decor of it. It's more
This
of
is purely like a definition of gender, but,
Well, it is, but it's also with sexual orientation, which is a pride flag.
classroom display, that would be the second one, the 25. That's classroom environment.
so you have a first, so we need to address that.
So we have a first to consider the policies.
First 20.
I don't know if it's a big deal or not, but the but it states the wrong policy, it states policy 2525, and we're looking at policy 2050. I don't know if that's something that needs to be cleaned up, if we're going to move with this policy, or
Yeah, I mean,
is that something that could be cleaned up between the
that would
first and
have
the
to be
second
like, we'd
reading?
have to
or-
do that in revisions versus, yeah, that would be more, yeah, big revisions basically. Yeah, but if we're gonna revise it, then,
Act on the motion.
so there's been a motion to accept it as is there a second? If there is no second, then the motion dies.
Then we can make another motion to revise it, or
If to revise it or to.
We'll cross revise it the second reading too.
The revision would then bring it back for the first revision, or first reading with revisions on it.
I think according to your,
As is, and then we would bring it back to the first reading with the revisions.
according to your policy
Revise it,
1300,
Back to, for revisions, and go through the three readings, then we'll be at, we will also be doing the, by then, cause then next month we'll be doing the House Bill 41. So we'll be doing the first reading of that one, so we can get it in by July. And so some of them will be the same, so we'll be basically doing two policies that are roughly the same thing, so if we're gonna revise them, we'll revise it to look like the one that's coming out, or just rewrite ours like we're going to.
so House Bill 41 is going to address, assuming that the governor signs it, is gonna address these issues.
House Bill 41 would address classroom displays.
Classroom
Classroom
displays.
Yes.
Not not definitions.
This does not have the definitions.
Yeah. But it does, it also has, school athletics too. It does talk about school athletics, so.
It also talks about coerced, what was the word? Coercion. It talks about people, and making people call them the gender that they associate with. I didn't have time to talk about that in that 3 minutes, but I feel really strongly about somebody telling me that I have to say things that go against what I believe.
That is the law already, and we do follow
We
the
already,
law.
yeah, that
That's
passed last year, we have that in our general consent, that's in home.
And I'm making it more clear as we edit that for use this next year, so.
Is there anything wrong with
So
it?
if the motion to consider has died, do I have a motion to, revise or reject the policies?
Let's do one at a time, please.
For, policy 2050, we can start with policy 2050.
Oh, I'll make a motion to revise policy 2050.
I'll second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. 2050 is, sorry, the definitions. So it's been moved and seconded. Further discussion?
What are the revisions?
What are the revisions? What are the thinking?
Clean up the references.
I would say, yeah, clean up the references and
Just, yeah, and then like reading through here, it goes through, gender identity, gender expression, sexual orientation, transgender identity. All of those are labeled as perceived by some. So they basically have wording in there that make it seem like they're only perceived by some, whereas then when you get to someone that says immutable biological facts. It also goes on to say that you have to claim the sex that you are at conception, which is troublesome because everybody at conception is asexual. There is no, the fetus is not male or female at conception. That happens after a little while, so we'd have to clean up not conception, but probably at birth.
Actually, it is a conception. Biologically speaking.
The
Chromosomes.
gonadal how it doesn't change to testes or ovaries until after the SRY portion of the gene, so which is why you can have some of these weird things that happen when you have that downstream. And I was just
Maybe
thinking
clean up some of the language,
Yeah.
revise that, and then,
versus, and then like, yeah. I think that, school trips, dress codes, student records, change of official records, confidentiality, safe and environment, compelled speech, all of those are fine, and that's basically following the law that was passed last year.
Yeah, I mean, I would just like to look to make sure that it fits with the House bill. 421, which I'm trying to look right now. A lot of words.
A lot of words.
Right in the paragraph you're talking about, it talks about the anatomy.
It's been moved and seconded for revisions. Is there any further discussion on revising?
What kind of revision do I still?
we're just cleaning up some of the language.
Clean the language.
And then obviously trying to make sure that it matches with a, 421 and then the 41 that will be, I'm sure
There
some.
might be one other
That's a
bill from last
effort.
year.
Right, cause this was written in 22, right, so it needs to reference those, that has passed in 22.
Yeah.
It's not 388, cause that's the other one, it's 3, I'll find it here. But there is another bill that references, pronouns and genders.
Yeah, the bill states that nobody can be forced to use a pronoun against their will. There's that bill
Was that
that
from
was
last
passed.
year?
Um,
Well, anyway, there's
Yeah,
another one, I
yeah.
think it's 3 something.
And then there's also that a parent has to consent for their child to be called very differently, or different policy.
Which maybe isn't in our policy right now, but again, this is where I'm like, so we can put this all in our policy and then, I guess we just have to keep up with what they're doing and, is that your understanding?
Yeah. I mean, we can always adopt a policy also that states if policy doesn't address, state and federal law, that state and federal law will be followed by law.
I mean, I just feel like at some point it's like,
Yeah,
Right, that should kind of be
yeah,
one of the items on there, just so we don't have to do this every.
exactly, because sometimes there it becomes,
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded to revise 2050. Any further discussion?
and I'll find, there's another bill that I was looking at that fits with this, but,
okay.
right?
It's
It's that
probably,
pronoun, stuff. I think it's, I'll find it.
when I look at other districts' policies, it could be referenced in that. So, yeah.
So all those in favor of revision of 2050 and then bringing it back? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Motion carries.
The next one is to vote on, to consider the policy 2525 as proposed, to return the policy for revision or decline to consider the policy. And this is the, policy that was proposed by Mr. Martin of classroom environment. It includes what flags may be displayed. There is overlap with this and policy 1520, I believe, that you tabled prior.
That was the last, was that one that table?
Oh, no, that was tabled because of the, public comment, sorry, my mistake. No, there's overlap between this one and, controversial issues.
2340.
Yeah.
I don't know, with this policy, I think that, especially with what's coming down the pike from, I mean, we're all pretty much assuming the governor's gonna sign that House Bill 41. I don't know that we need to, accept this policy, because I think that I think there's language that can be added to 2340 that states this, and House Bill 41 is gonna provide us that language. That's just my opinion.
That's why I think we put it down to actually vote on it in April, because we figured it would be signed by that.
Yeah. And that's, it will be
And,
signed.
yeah, and then, I mean, and the question then becomes, if you want to consider a specific policy, that's a standalone policy for this, or if you
I think it belongs on our policy that talks about controversial issues.
Rather just not add more policies to the manual if possible.
There's a lot.
I mean, if we can just add a couple paragraphs to that policy that covers all this stuff, I think that's, would be the better way to go.
Okay. So I entertain a motion then to,
One of those three.
yeah,
What are the three options, accept, reject, or?
decline.
Accept as proposed,
Yeah, accept as
return
proposed.
for revision, or decline to consider.
I would make a motion to decline to consider with the assumption that House Bill 41 is going to pass.
Okay.
Can we adopt the exact verbiage of House Bill 41 if it passes?
Yeah, it has some very specific verbiage in
Yeah.
it that we would put in the policy.
And that's kind of what I'm talking about with all of these, like, doesn't it just
Well,
make more
some-
sense
the
to
other
just
one is
adopt the
different.
verbiage, but, yeah.
Yeah, the states. Yeah.
Well, it kind of seems like it's a problem right now instead of wait.
Exactly.
I went to school here, so.
Okay, so it's been moved to decline, 2550, or 2525 in waiting for House Bill 41 to come through.
I'll
Have a
second. I'll second.
So fucking
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor of declining 2525?
Wait, I have a question. So if you guys are doing this in anticipation of House Bill 41 passing, are you guys just going to start adopting House Bill 41 now?
Once it passes, we